to the At Home Author Podcast. Now, I have been seeing and hearing lately a lot of authors confused about illustration and picture books. So we're going to head into that today. First of all, you do not need to be an artist to become a picture book author. It's just not necessary. Although, we'll talk more about author illustrators later. But typically what I see when somebody has a picture book idea is they immediately dive into, but I don't do the art. And then they go look for a friend or a family member, maybe a neighbor, who's really good at art to team up with them to get their children's book done. But what you actually need to do first is focus on learning the market and your writing. And then you need to decide which publishing route you want to go down. Because if you want to go the traditional publishing route, you don't ever find an illustrator. Your publisher will handle that part for you. If you want to self-publish, on the other hand, you will want to work with an illustrator. But you're going to need to think through all of your options and be very careful if you're going to work with someone who does not have experience in book illustration or book design specifically. I learned that lesson the hard way. So what that means is that if you want to be traditionally published, all you really need to worry about is your own writing and your story. If there's something in the book that you want the art to show that the text does not communicate, you'll want to use art notes, but only when absolutely necessary. If you want some examples, check out the At Home Author YouTube channel. Chelsea Tornetto has a great example of what art notes look like and how to incorporate them naturally in your story. And if you're going to self-publish, hiring an illustrator is one of the final things that you do, not one of the first. You need to focus on that writing. Yes, I know I keep saying it, but first you need to focus on that writing. And then once that is polished and ready to go, you'll start ordering samples from different freelance illustrators. If you do want to work with a friend or a family member or something like that, you will want to make sure that you have an open conversation about compensation and that you have a contract in place, even though you have that personal connection. That way you avoid any hiccups later or any legal struggles. No one wants that. If you find that your artist does not have experience with children's book illustration, then what you'll want to do is find a professional formatter or book designer to work alongside your artist. The reason for that is pretty simple. You don't want to run into a situation where the artist has not left enough room for the text or hasn't understood how much bleed there needs to be or anything of that nature. Basically, if you don't think about those things in the moment, you could run into issues later, and that could result in you needing the entire book re-illustrated or certain scenes re-illustrated, and it will just be a lot more work on both of your parts. The other factor to consider is if you do not have your writing super solid before illustrations, you might run into a situation where there's a big plot hole or something developmentally that is not strong. And if you already have the art done, the artist will have to redo all of that work. And so